seniors.co.uk.
Let's take a look at the top headlines at this hour. India-Bangladesh border row escalates and India's BSF stops Right. India-Bangladesh border row escalates. India's BSF stops illegal bunker building at the Bangladesh border. Key Putin aid in India to boost Russia ties. Trip comes ahead of likely visit by Putin to India. OpenAI unveils new AI tool Deep Research. New tool to facilitate research, make concise reports. And India wins big at the Grammys. Vocalist wins Best Chant Album. Indian-American Chandrika Tandon's Triveni album wins. We take great pride, says Prime Minister Modi on Tandon's Grammy win. Right, our top story is, of course, from the US, where Donald Trump has, in fact, in a way, gone ahead with one of his big campaign promises. In less than a month of returning to the White House, US President Trump has delivered exactly what he promised in his campaign, launching a trade war. Trump has announced sweeping new tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China that has triggered sharp reactions from global leaders and financial markets. The tariffs, which Trump says are aimed at protecting American workers and industries, have sparked fear of economic retaliation from affected countries. A day after imposing these tariffs, the US president has in fact said that he would also be implementing tariffs on goods from the European Union pretty soon. While Trump excluded India from this round of tariffs, India still felt a blow. Days after a boost from the union budget, the rupee depreciated 67 paise to hit a record low of 87.29 against the US dollar. BSE, Sensex and Nifty 50, the Indian equity benchmark indices, also tanked. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Rishabh Bhatnagar. Rishabh, so what has been the impact on the Indian markets as far as these big announcements by Donald Trump, US president, is concerned in terms of imposing tariffs on several countries?
Right. Tanima, you said it's been a month. It's been less than a month since Donald Trump took over. In fact, it's his 13th day. And it's on his 13th day that he has gone ahead and sort of launched a worldwide sell-off that we're seeing across markets. Nobody left untouched by this. We're seeing, as I speak currently, the European markets are falling. We've seen Bitcoin fall by about 6%. US crude oil has risen to over $74 a barrel. Indian markets, like you mentioned, also fell as low as 1% now. By the end of the day, they did recover to about 0.4 to 0.5% in the red. That is the Indian impact as well. But what we're currently seeing is how the European markets are faring, given the fact that he has gone ahead and said that Europe and the European Union will also be impacted by these tariffs. This has caused all sorts of investors to sort of wait on the sidelines now to see how Trump takes shape going ahead in the next couple of weeks. He has mentioned that India is a tremendous tariff maker. And though India is not included in these round of tariffs that he has slapped on, Indians and the Indian government has come up and also said that they are in a wait and watch mood. Every statement that is coming out of the White House is being read very passionately. They're looking into everything very deeply, intricately. And now it will be upon the Indian investors to see whether or not Trump sort of steadies the ship and how the global markets fare going ahead.
Right, Rishabh, very interestingly, as you mentioned, that the Indian government, of course, will be on a wait and watch mode. But what are you picking up in terms of what could be the next few steps as well? We've already heard that the Indian government is mulling on cutting import tariff on certain US goods. So is that something, is that one of the strategies diplomatically and, of course, in terms of the trade ties between US and India, that is something that the government is considering?
Right. US has been, and it is the largest bilateral trading partner India has. In fact, it is one of the very few countries that India is in trade surplus with. We are about $35 billion in positive trade with the United States. That makes us, and that makes the US an extremely, extremely important trading partner. We have in this budget also gone ahead and cut tariffs on a lot of US export products, something that is looked at as a friendly move towards the US. It is sort of a positive sort of a handshake that India has given to the US, saying that, okay, we are willing to cooperate with you. We are willing to wait. Don't treat us like your other trading partners. We are different. We have been a trusted country to you. And hopefully that is what the US also takes from this.
Mm-hmm. Right, Rishabh Bhatnagar there, thank you so much for joining us, giving our viewers a comprehensive understanding of what the impact has been on the markets and also some of the next moves that the Indian government is mulling. And to discuss this further, I'm joined on the show by Dr. Asif Iqbal, foreign policy expert and former consul of the government of the Republic of Suriname, and also Professor Scott Lucas, founder of EA Worldview and an emeritus professor of international politics in the University of Birmingham, and Richard Painter, law professor in the University of Minnesota Law School, former chief of White House and an ethics lawyer under the President Bush's regime. Thank you to all of you for joining me on the show. I just want to begin by taking first comments from all of you in terms of how this has, of course, been something which has been talked about even when Donald Trump was elected as the second president, even around the time of the oath-taking ceremony, how this is going to, in a way, trigger global uncertainties even further if there is a tariff war that Trump finally goes through. And it's already begun now. So your initial thoughts, starting with Dr. Asif Iqbal, on whether there's going to be now a certain period of uncertainty, global uncertainty, if we look at the world economy.
Yes, I believe there is going to be quite a bit of uncertainty. We have already seen in the stock markets today. The Canadian currency has fallen for the last 20 years. This is the first time we have seen such a big fall from 2003, and this is really a big missile drop by Donald Trump on the global, business, markets. And this seemed to be a very commercial and an economic crisis, which has become a very political now. And the fact that the Japanese markets have, dropped. The currencies have dropped, and I think it's going to be there for some time, till we see this whole thing unfolding and how, this arrangements are going to happen. He's already hinted that, with the UK, there could be a deal happening. And now the stock markets today in Asia, all the markets, they have fell very badly. And the European markets have also dropped sharply. And especially the car makers, they have also quietly suffered today. So it has been quite a big, fall today.
Right. Professor Scott Lucas, your thoughts?
This is not just uncertainty. This is chaos, and this is destruction. And the tariff should be linked. It should be seen as part of something that's happening broader. First of all, as you noted, the immediate effects on China, Mexico, and Canada won't be isolated, that you're going to have markets and supply chains affected around the world, and they will affect India. But secondly, as I speak, the US presence overseas is going to be shocked. The Trump administration is on the verge of closing the US Agency for International Development, one of the most important organizations in terms of providing health security, in terms of providing economic security abroad. And then thirdly, and Richard Painter will know more about this because he'll be the legal expert in here, the Trump administration is carrying out an administrative coup, a coup right now. It has effectively suspended the rule of law in the United States so that it can carry out raids to scoop up the personal and sensitive records of all Americans. It has locked employees out of their offices. It has purged thousands of staff, including senior staff, And it is effectively telling staff they will not be allowed to work unless they pledge loyalty to Donald Trump, not to the Constitution, not to the US system, but to Trump himself.
All right. And Mr. Richard Painter there, your initial reaction to the move made by President Donald Trump?
Well, first of all, under the United States Constitution, it's very clear that Congress sets tariffs and taxes, not the president unilaterally. The president has very limited authority to simply declare a tariff without having a bill passed through Congress. And Donald Trump needs to work with Congress to set tariffs. There's likely to be court challenges to some of these tariffs. Second, the tariffs could precipitate an economic crisis around the world. The last time the Republican Party embraced broad tariffs was 1930, and legislation passed by Congress and signed by President Herbert Hoover in response to the stock market crash, and all that did was create the Great Depression. This could very well spread around the world. And some of our most important trading partners are now already affected, Canada and Mexico, the European Union, and yes, India is one of the most important economies in the world, the largest democracy in the world, and this could very well affect India even more so than it has today. A lot of people in the business community in the United States are very, very concerned about this. Donald Trump was not elected to precipitate an economic crisis through his belligerent policies, and certainly not to do so without the consent of the United States Congress.
Right. Scott Lucas, Professor Lucas, coming back to you, you know, as he was mentioning that, as Professor Painter was mentioning, that this is also a lot about how one of the main premises on which people voted Trump back to power, of course, is in terms of repairing the US economy. But this question also arises about who's going to be the one who's actually facing the brunt of this trade war that, in a way, President Trump has triggered. Because there are concerns being raised by experts that everything, more or less, the prices are going to go up because of course, how all the countries are connected in terms of the chain of supply. So it's not just China, Canada and Mexico at the moment. There are, of course, other countries who are also waiting for future announcements to be made. But this eventually is going to lead to a situation where there's going to be inflation, which even other countries face the impact of.
I think you've summarized that very well, in that you will see the effects around the world, not within months, not within weeks, but within days of what is happening. Asian markets are down about 2% today. US markets will probably fall about the same. If there are further tariffs, for example, in the European Union, the shock will be even greater. The rise of the US dollar against all currencies, including the Indian rupee, will mean that interest rate cuts are suspended in the United States, which will be a further drag on economic growth. Inflation will spike because when you impose tariffs, especially if other countries raise tariffs on you, you get into a process where both your exports and your imports are more expensive. But the question then is, okay, fine. People did not vote for this. They did not vote for Donald Trump to be an autocrat. They did not vote for him to effectively bypass US Congress, bypass US Constitution. What happens if he cannot deliver on his promise to make the US economy better? And then you face a further threat to the US and the world, that he simply will go even farther. He will blame other countries for the mess he is creating. He will blame migrants. He will blame asylum seekers. He will seek greater powers, claiming that there is an emergency. So we are only at the start of the shock that takes place. And I think the question for India, for my country, Ireland, for the European Union and other countries is, how do we work together to limit the damage that will be caused by this man and by those close to him, like Elon Musk?
Right. Mr. Richard Painter, what can be done by other countries now who are watching this, Trump's next move for that matter? What can be done by the global economy in a way to protect themselves if they can?
is interdependent, where business leaders are dependent on each other. And the business leaders around the world need to talk with each other, talk with their American counterparts who have connections in the White House. A lot of the very prominent bankers in the United States and lawyers who are working with the president also work with companies around the globe. And everybody's in this together. And the pressure needs to be brought to bear on their American counterparts to persuade the president and Congress to have a coherent economic policy that promotes growth and promotes global growth and that doesn't send the world spiraling into a trade war, which, as I said before, could very well precipitate a depression as it did in 1930. So this is an area where there needs to be a lot of very honest, open discussion in the business community. The Wall Street Journal, a very conservative publication in the United States, has already come out against these tariffs. And that is the type of dialogue that needs to continue. And then the Republicans in Congress will let the president know that this is unacceptable and that we need to once again have a policy, an economic policy, a tariff policy that's made through cooperation and collaboration, right, designed to expand growth rather than precipitate a trade war and economic disaster.
Right. Dr. Asif Iqbal, Scott Lucas, and Richard Painter, thank you so much for joining us on the show for this very important discussion. Time for us to take a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Is that my ticket?
Protect what matters to you with Simply Safe Home Security. Get our Which Best Buy rated starter pack from under £200. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Sitting quietly while your car is made all shiny. Downtime can be just fine too. Ready meal is piping hot, waterproof on the loo. Just enjoy your back tattoo. Tea break, face break, maybe even watch the ad break. Sometimes it's not time for some tombola, right? It's enjoying lasagna time, chilling with a book time, or time to visit your nan time. Put the phone down.
This is an important message for people living with diabetes from people living with diabetes.
When I was experiencing the symptoms of diabetes, I didn't know what was going on.
You go on the internet and it's full of horror stories. You don't know where to begin and you don't know what to believe.
I didn't understand about carbs, I didn't understand about blood glucose levels.
I was scared and I was worried.
I didn't understand diabetes full stop.
That's why the support I get as a Diabetes UK member is so important.
You can become a Diabetes UK member too. To join us now, just call 0800 144 5406 and become a member today for just £3 a month. When you do, you'll receive a practical guide specific to your type of diabetes and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year. Balance is filled with news and inspiring real-life stories from members just like you. And you'll receive regular emails and vital updates that will help you feel informed and supported. Plus, you'll help support research that could lead to better treatments for all types of diabetes.
Membership makes life better because you're not alone anymore.
Call 0800 144 5406 or go online to become a Diabetes UK member for just £3 a month, because membership can help you learn to live better with diabetes.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £120 gift card after you apply. Legal in general. Ensure life goes on.
Welcome back. Now, arriving in Washington, D.C. early this morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is all set for his first meeting with US President Donald Trump since his return to the White House last month. Netanyahu is expected to discuss what he called victory over Hamas, countering Iran and expanding diplomatic relations with Arab countries. Tuesday's meeting at the White House will be Trump's first with a foreign leader since returning to office. It comes as US and Arab mediators begin the daunting work of brokering the second phase of a ceasefire agreement to wind down the 15-month war in Gaza. Let me go across to my colleague Ghazali for more on this. Ghazali, if you could, this is of course a very significant meeting, the first foreign leader that President Trump is meeting after taking oath the second time around as the President of the United States. Of course, Trump has already made certain tall claims about the Israel-Gaza war. So in terms of the agenda of this meeting, that's very clear, but what can we expect?
This visit is that how Mr. Trump doesn't want this entire conflict to further deepen or spread into other areas, and that is why his entire proposal of shifting the population of Gaza to Egypt and Jordan has been recently rejected by the Arab League and Arab nations there. Now, Mr. Netanyahu happens to be the first leader now who will be meeting Mr. Trump in Washington tomorrow. The agenda of the meeting will revolve around the second stage of the ceasefire, because the first stage of ceasefire is the exchange of or the release of Palestinian prisoners from Israeli prison and the hostages from Hamas's captivity. The first stage will end by the end of next month. That was a 42-day period. Now, the other issue which will be discussed will certainly be the diminishing effect or influence of Iran in the region, with Syria getting new administration under Mr. al-Shara, the former HTS chief. Then you are also getting a new prime minister in Lebanon. So these will be the issues which we will discuss, but two major issues besides Gaza ceasefire could be, one, the diminishing influence of Iran, as well as the Saudi Arabia and Israel normalization was one of the pick of Mr. Trump's foreign policy when he came to office for the first time, when he sort of anchored the entire Abraham Accords, and that is exactly what is expected, that Trump will try to bring the tempers down in the entire Middle East region, and that is why he is not going to give Mr. Netanyahu a lot of leeway when it comes to affairs in West Bank, though Mr. Netanyahu and his far-right ministers in the cabinet hints that in exchange of this ceasefire or pause in the war between Hamas and Israel, Israel will be allowed to expand its illegal settlements in the West Bank.
Mohammad Ghazali there, thank you so much for joining us. Now, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has demanded that Panama make immediate changes to what he calls the influence and control of China over the canal. The warning follows President Donald Trump's vow to retake the Panama Canal and a meeting between Rubio and Jose Raul Mulino, Panama's conservative president in Panama City, is scheduled on, in fact, was held on Sunday. On the other hand, Mulino told reporters that he did not see a serious threat of US military force to seize the canal, saying he had proposed technical level talks with the US to address Donald Trump's concerns about Chinese influence. The two men appeared to emerge from their 2-hour meeting with different interpretations. Now, after the US exited the World Health Organization last month, reports suggest that the UN Health Agency's chief has asked global leaders to lean on Washington to reverse President Donald Trump's decision, insisting that the US will miss out on critical information about global disease outbreaks. However, member countries are also pressing on the WHO to figure out how it might cope with the exit of its biggest donor. For 2024 to 25, the US is WHO's biggest donor by far, putting in an estimated $988 million, roughly 14% of WHO's $6.9 billion budget. Among other health crises, WHO is currently working to stop outbreak of Marburg virus in Tanzania, Ebola in Uganda, and Mpox in Congo. Now, artificial intelligence heavyweight OpenAI has launched a new AI tool called Deep Research, which it said conducts multi-step research on the internet for complex tasks. The tool is powered by a version of the upcoming OpenAI O3 model optimized for web browsing and data analysis. OpenAI said that users have to give a prompt and OpenAI's chatbot, ChatGPT, will find, analyze and synthesize several online sources such as text, images and PDFs to create a comprehensive report at the level of a research analyst. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said that the tool is like a superpower and can do tasks that would take hours or days and cost hundreds of dollars.
OpenAI has unveiled its new AI tool called Deep Search. The feature will allow ChatGPT to perform online searches and multi-step searches to make concise reports. It can be used to complete complex tasks. So why does Deep Search matter? Well, it matters because the tool is another step in fulfilling the AI industry's promise that AI will soon be able to perform human tasks reliably and independently. The company has said that the product is built for people who do intensive knowledge work and need thorough and reliable research, covering a wide spectrum of areas such as finance, science, policy, and engineering. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has even dubbed the tool as a superpower that can do tasks that would normally take hours or days. The reports produced by Deep Search are expected to be on the lines of reports made by research analysts. The latest tool from OpenAI will initially be available for companies' $200 per month pro customers. But OpenAI is expected to expand the rollout soon. Despite its seemingly stupendous feature, there are some concerns as Deep Search has trouble separating rumors from facts and often fails to convey uncertainty accurately.
You could save money on your energy bill when you switch to a new deal. Take the power back. Switch and save now at uswitch.com.
I have a Life 2 bill. Who had the calamari? It was for the table. I didn't eat any calamari, so I'm not paying for any calamari. What are you, 7? Ah, that's for crumpets, sweetheart.
Studies show our relationship with money is formed from the age of 7. That's why our expert team is here, to help you take control of your money today. Barclays, make money work for you.
I'm starting to notice a trend in your stories and the way you talk about yourself. You expect to disappoint people, and then when you do a good job, like at work today, you don't let yourself enjoy it or accept any praise. You've come so far. Maybe it's time to start giving yourself some of the credit.
Switch to EE Full Fiber and pay nothing up front. You'll get ultra-fast broadband, which stays fast even at peak time. So you can keep working while the kids nail dance practice. Or help them get that homework project off the ground. And we'll even give you up to £300 towards your leaving fee. No wonder broadband switchers choose EE. Search EE Broadband Deals.
Hi, it's Phoebe from Auto Trader's monthly electric car giveaway, and we're pleased to say that you've won a brand new electric car.
It's a dream, honestly, it really is a dream. Oh my god. Me and my boyfriend talk about the Auto Trader competition every single month. I was waiting for the know you ever won.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Welcome back. Now, in the latest escalation between India and Bangladesh over the border issue, India's border security force has stopped Bangladesh's border guards from building an illegal bunker just 150 meters from the international border, marking the second such intervention in just 2 days. BSF officials in Kolkata say that they spotted the construction, which was initiated on Friday night during a patrol. This came just a day after BSF blocked another PGB bunker in North Bengal's Dahagram, Angarpota area. Following BSF's objections in a flag meeting, BGB agreed to halt work. The latest confrontation comes amid growing tensions between the two border forces since Bangladesh's regime change last year. The situation escalated last month when Indian and Bangladeshi villagers clashed in Malda, North Bengal, over BSF's attempts to construct a border fence, which led to stone pelting incidents. To discuss this further, I'm joined on the broadcast by Ayanjeet Sen, expert on Bangladesh affairs, and Major Rizaul Karim, retired, who's also a researcher and analyst. Thank you to both of you for joining us on the show. The first question is, and of course it's a concern, whether incidents like this, which are two back-to-back incidents, is this going to, in a way, further escalate the tension between the two countries? Ayanjeet Sen, to you first.
No, I think, in recent months, after the Yunus so-called government has taken over, there have been several allegations of crop theft and, involvement of local population in that area, and even a big social media propaganda which has been levied against the Indian border guards, the BSF. And slowly, the border management issues have turned into kind of community-level conflicts, and that has been precipitated by the way Bangladesh has escalated the issues. Because as you remember, the joint guidelines which prohibit any kind of defense-related construction within 150 meters of international boundary. Now that has to be respected from all perspectives. Now, of course, BSF is actively monitoring the border to prevent any kind of illegal activities, and that's a recent example of that, because of which they objected to what Bangladesh was constructing within that distance of 150 meters. Now, many of India's such projects have received approval during Hasina's tenure. But at the moment Yunus took up the charge, it has changed more or less everything from there on. And except some flag meetings which have taken place between the BSF and the border guards of Bangladesh, I think it's just that this kind of escalation of tensions is precipitated primarily by the Bangladesh border guards themselves. And that's the reason why even individuals, citizens of Bangladesh who are staying across the border have also been, been pushed to construct stuff within that 150 meters boundary so that the BSF does not fire upon them, because they are civilians.
Right. Major Rizaul Karim, bringing you in on the discussion. There's been so much talk about this concern that Indian government has about illegal Bangladeshi immigrants, and then we have these incidents happening close to the border. What do you think from the Bangladesh government's perspective that they would like to see in terms of a diplomatic move that can be made in order to calm down the tension amid the fact that there are, of course, concerns that Indian agencies have when it comes to these illegal immigrants?
Thank you. Good question. Actually, I'm very positive, and I'm very sanguine that in upcoming days, India-Bangladesh relations.
Right. We seem to have some technical issue there. We'll try and reconnect with Major Rizaul Karim very soon. This is, of course, one of the, this is in the backdrop of this, bunker, which had in fact been created by the Bangladesh border guards. They were trying to create an illegal bunker very close to the international border between India and Bangladesh, which has led to this fresh flare-up in a way. But for more on the incident itself, let me go across to my colleague Saurabh. Saurabh, if you can just put it chronologically in order, and also for more perspective for our viewers in terms of what's exactly going on at the Indo-Bangladesh border. There are two back-to-back incidents now. How is the Indian government looking at this situation?
Well, I mean, there is, of course, a problem at the border, and no one is denying that. Now, the fact is that obviously there are certain areas where, in the last few days there have been, what has been termed as skirmishes between the BGB, the Border Guard Bangladesh, which is the agency responsible for guarding the borders from the Bangladesh side, and also, the BSF, which is the Border Security Force, which is, of course, the agency responsible for guarding the border from the Indian side. Now, the BSF, of course, has been patrolling. They've been on very high alert ever since the situation unfolded in Bangladesh from last year. And there have been attempts from the Bangladesh side to also try and perhaps, many believe in a way to, take advantage of the situation, for the lack of a better phrase to describe what's going on. But obviously, this is an incident that the BSF takes very seriously. They also have held meetings with the BGB. In a lot of places on the India-Bangladesh border, fencing work is still going on, or fencing work is yet to commence. Some areas are riverine borders, so it requires extra alertness from the BSF. So all of these things are taking place, and of course the BSF says, even for example, recently the BSF also wrote to the state government saying that tall crops should be avoided in border areas, because what is happening is that behind the tall crops there are people who are sitting and watching, observing the BSF's patrolling patterns and using that to take advantage and do things that are against the interests of India and the safety and security of India. So obviously this is something that the BSF is looking at very seriously.
Right. Saurabh there, thank you so much for joining us. Let me go back to Major Razaul Karim. I believe he is connected with us back again. Yes, Mr. Karim, Major Karim, if you can complete your point that you were making.
Yeah, sorry. So actually, let's come to the point. Basically, I'm expecting and I'm very sanguine that Bangladesh-India relationship in future, it will be really very positive and it will be strengthened. And by bilateral discussion, especially our foreign ministry to foreign ministry relations. And there is also positive sign that by 17 to 20 February, the DG level, Director General level meeting between Bangladesh BSF border guards and Indian BSF and Bangladesh BGB. Both the organization, they will have their Director General level meeting, and I'm sure by that through that meeting they will have some positive gesture. But here is a point, as mentioned by the previous speaker, that there is a rule for inter-border distance, like within 150 years, none of the country can have their any establishment. Like Bangladesh, from the zero line, there should be 150 years gap. So same it was maintained all through, but as per the agreement between Bangladesh government and Indian government, and that agreement took place in the year of 2016 between Foreign Affairs Ministry of Bangladesh and Foreign Affairs Ministry of India. So, but India might have the claim, or BSF might have the claim, that as per the agreement, yes, we can have our fence. Like that means nearly 1200 years fencing was incomplete. So as per the agreement, they are supposed to complete that fencing. That is true. But for the implementation, you need to approve the drawing, design or planning. That should be approved with a consultation by the local commander, like local commanding officer of BGB. They should be involved. They should give their plan, or they should approve the design or planning before the implementation, which did not take place. Thereby this kind of problem, actually the incident happened there. But still, I talked with the local BGB commander, Lieutenant Colonel Kibriya, who confirmed me that from their end, they are very positive. Though there were some problems between the Indian people and Bangladeshi people, both the party had been trying to do some problematic activities, but the BGB and BSF officers, they were positive. And I'm sure from Bangladesh end, our officer, he was very polite, but he was very firm in his decision, and he never did anything without consulting with his higher commander. So actually, we now the situation is going adverse because of the media. Especially, I will blame Indian media sometimes with wrong information Indian media is exaggerating, and I will request my Indian friends. They should know the exact facts so that we can also help our Indian media,
Right.
so that they broadcast the actual message, because we should not mislead any function or any department.
Right. Reporting,
and
of
thereby
course.
we will strengthen the relationships.
Reporting, of course, always has to be factual. Oinjit Shen, we have very less time, but quick word from you to close the discussion here. What should be the Indian government's next move? Negotiations in terms of diplomatic strategy. What next should be the priority?
Well, as Major Karim said, from that perspective, I would say the meeting that's going to take place between the two border forces, that should solve this situation for now. But there has to be a way forward going ahead. There should be the fencing issue, and all other border issues should be solved once and for all, regardless of who is power in Bangladesh. But because, as I said before, the border management issues, because of different social media propaganda coming up from across the border inside Bangladesh, this is coming up, the social media propaganda. And these border management issues have turned to kind of, community level conflicts. And thankfully that has been, that has died down to an extent. But it's time that, the two forces come together, and they are going to meet soon. And hopefully things are going to be sorted out once and for all.
Oinjit Shen, Major Karim, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We'll be heading into a short break at this point. Don't go anywhere.
This is an important message for people living with diabetes, from people living with diabetes.
When I was experiencing the symptoms of diabetes, I didn't know what was going on.
You go on the internet and it's full of horror stories. You don't know where to begin and you don't know what to believe.
I didn't understand about carbs, I didn't understand about blood glucose levels.
I was scared and I was worried.
I didn't understand diabetes, full stop.
That's why the support I get as a Diabetes UK member is so important.
You can become a Diabetes UK member too. To join us now, just call 0800 144 5406 and become a member today for just £3 a month. When you do, you'll receive a practical guide specific to your type of diabetes and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year. Balance is filled with news and inspiring real-life stories from members just like you. And you'll receive regular emails and vital updates that will help you feel informed and supported. Plus, you'll help support research that could lead to better treatments for all types of diabetes.
Membership makes life better because you're not alone anymore.
Call 0800 144 5406 or go online to become a Diabetes UK member for just £3 a month, because membership can help you learn to live better with diabetes.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, we know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal, every step of the way.
I like making sure I've got all the right tools for the job. And now that I'm 50, that means looking after the life I've built, protecting my life if anything happened to me. That's why I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period, unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years for full cover. With Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one. And you're covered for the whole of your life. Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Learning more couldn't be simpler. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call.
Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Cover Today has given me genuine peace of mind. And now that's done, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0808 143 4733 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Welcome back. Now, Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari is set to visit China on a 4-day official trip starting from 4th of February. He'll meet with President Xi Jinping and top Chinese officials to strengthen economic and defense ties. High on the agenda is advancing the second phase of the $64 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a massive infrastructure project linking China's Xinjiang province to Pakistan's Gwadar port. The long-standing allies are also set to discuss trade, investment and regional cooperation. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin's aide, Vyacheslav Volodin, is in India for crucial meetings to boost inter-parliamentary ties. His visit comes ahead of a possible Putin trip to the annual summit later this year. At last year's summit in Moscow, Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin stressed the need for regular meetings between parliamentary groups to strengthen India-Russia relations. Volodin's talks are expected to lay the groundwork for deeper cooperation between the two nations. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Mohammad Ghazali. Ghazali, what exactly will be some of the significant meetings that Russian president's aide will have?
See, President's aide, Mr. Volodin, will have a meeting with the top officials of the Delhi administration in New Delhi. What will be on top of the agenda will certainly be the bilateral cooperation between India and Russia when it comes to space technology, defense sector and other sector where we already have a lot of MOUs and collaboration with Russia. But why this is very significant right now, because we have seen that how the new US President, Mr. Trump, has been threatening sanctions on Russia, and on the other hand, he has also been talking about to bring both Russia and Ukraine for the negotiation table. Now, Russia appears to be isolated when it comes to its allies in the West, and it is certainly banking on India because India has been trading with Russia despite the Ukraine-Russia war and sanctions by US. India has been purchasing oil from Russia, and India also had to face the heat of US sanctions when US sanctioned Russian companies which are selling oil to India, as well as it also sanctioned certain Indian companies which are dealing with Russia, not just in oil trade but with other trade and business. So this also comes at a time when Mr. Putin is expected to visit India. He considers India as a trusted ally. Both of them are member of BRICS. We also know how Mr. Trump has been threatening BRICS with more extra tariff because they have been talking about de-dollarization. Russia clarified it recently that we are not going for de-dollarization, and yet the threat of tariffs continue on Russia. Amid all this, Russia needs a trusted ally. Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi is also expected to go to Washington this month and meet Mr. Trump. And amid all these back-to-back meetings, Russia certainly needs a strong ally in the Southeast Asia region, and India happens to be the one. Russia also knows that how India managed to speak to both Mr. Zelensky and Putin. So that is another factor why Russia values India. So amid all this, this is very significant that Mr. Putin will be traveling to India later this year. The timing and the schedule has not yet been fixed. And before that scheduled visit, he has sent his aide now to visit India and meet the top officials to chart out the plan of his visit, as well as to discuss the trade ties with India, as well as to ensure that the sanction threat from West, or especially from US, doesn't hamper the business between India and Russia. Now, why it is significant? The other factor is that India has been walking a very tight rope when it comes to dealing with the United States as well as dealing with Russia. And how long can this tightrope walk can continue is something which will be seen after Mr. Modi visits US and meets Trump, and then sorts out all the issues related to tariff threat, related to trade issues with Russia, and all these issues will be discussed there. And after that, a picture will be clear that how India will navigate through these difficult ties to maintain ties with US as well and to maintain ties with Russia.
Right, Ghazali, as you were touching on that very important aspect, that all these talks will, of course, there'll be the shadow of US-India ties, despite what the agenda of those particular meetings might be. And if we are to believe the comment that was made by President Trump just a few days ago, that Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US can be very soon. So given that, from that framework, if we look at the possibilities of oil sanctions on Russia, if that is something that goes through, what could be something that will be discussed between the Indian government and the Russian representative there tomorrow. How could that figure in some of the meetings tomorrow?
See, India has very clearly maintained its stand that India's foreign policy is not influenced by what West or the US or other countries in the European Union think of Russia. Dr. Jaishankar has outrightly sort of outlined India's foreign policy on multiple forums in the last 1.5 years. Whenever he has been asked about why India is dealing with Russia, why India is purchasing oil from Russia, and clearly Mr. Jaishankar has said that if you're getting cheaper oil, we should look after our own economy rather than being concerned of what West thinks of Russia. And he has also castigated United States' own foreign policy that they deal with. You see how they have accepted what is happening with the Syrian president, the interim president, al-Shara, who was earlier a designated terrorist by the State Department. So these are some of the flip-flops which US's foreign policy does, but certainly India-Russia will talk about deepening its relationship despite all the threats of sanctions, and how India and Russia the relationship has withstood all the threats of sanctions, all the threats of isolation or diplomatic isolation by the US and the West.
Right, Mohammad Ghazali there. Thank you for joining us on the show. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is calling on European leaders to tighten economic pressure on Russia, saying Donald Trump's sanctions threat has left Vladimir Putin rattled. As he heads to Brussels for security talks, Starmer is expected to push European nations to boost defense spending and take a larger role in countering Russian aggression. He argued that stronger economic measures from Europe could help end the Ukraine war sooner. His call comes after US President Donald Trump warned last month of high tariffs and tougher sanctions if Putin doesn't end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Samsung Electronics chairman J.Y. Lee has been found not guilty of accounting fraud and stock manipulation. The Seoul High Court upheld a lower court ruling dismissing all charges tied to a controversial 2015 merger between Samsung affiliates. Prosecutors had accused Lee, then vice chairman and the largest shareholder of Shale, of manipulating stock prices to secure favorable merger terms and tighten his grip on Samsung Group. However, the court ruled that prosecutors failed to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. American global business leader and musician Chandrika Tandon has won a Grammy for Triveni, an album which blends ancient chants with world music, at the 67th Grammy Awards today. Tandon, who's 71, won the Haloed Gramophone for her recent collaborative album in the Best New Age Ambient or Chant Album category. The 7-track album aimed to be a meditative journey in what Tandon has called inner healing. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Abira. Abira, a very significant achievement there by Chandrika Tandon.
Absolutely, she has won the Grammy, and with her team also won the Grammy. Their name is Walter Kurman and Ira Matsumoto. They have won a Grammy, and this is, like you said, it's for Triveni. It was a collaboration, and of course we can say a collaborative masterpiece. There was also people like Ricky Cage and Anushka Shankar who were nominated in the same category, but it was Chandrika who won it, and it's a very proud moment. But other than that, the Grammys focused completely on Los Angeles wildfires, and there were a lot of tribute and love pouring out for Los Angeles. We saw Billie Eilish coming out and performing, and you know, behind her there were pictures of her and her brother who lived in Los Angeles throughout their childhood, pictures of them while she sang. We saw Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars coming out and paying a tribute to Los Angeles. So yeah, it was a very wholesome experience to watch Grammy this time. And of course, how can we forget Beyonce? She was the queen bee of Grammys even this year.
Right, Abira, thank you so much for encapsulating the highlights from Grammy for our viewers. And finally, my colleague Mayank also decodes some of the fashion looks from the 67th Grammys. Take a look.
Music's biggest night, the 67th Annual Grammy Awards, took place in Los Angeles after the devastating LA fires, with a mission to raise funds to support people affected and also to bring back the much-needed cheer of music and fashion. Best Newcomer Artist Chappell Roan splashed the red carpet in a colorful archival look by designer Jean-Paul Gaultier, whereas the espresso star Sabrina Carpenter donned a baby blue backless Jonathan Anderson feathered gown. Night's big nominee, Taylor Swift, rocked a scarlet red Vivienne Westwood corset midi dress, and the always edgy Lady Gaga showed up in a voluminous black gothic gown by Australian designer Samuel Lewis. The Brat Summer artist Charlie XCX wore another Jean-Paul Gaultier look, a grey fringed gown paired with gladiator boots. The always quirky Jaden Smith literally had a house, a Louis Vuitton house, on his head, leaving the internet in splits. Taking home the award for Album of the Year, Queen Bee Beyoncé skipped the red carpet and headed straight to the stage in a country-style champagne and cream-colored body-hugging gown. Winner of the Global Impact Award, Alicia Keys made a powerful statement wearing a Dolce & Gabbana Alta Moda look, decorated with large gold jewels. Several artists, including Shakira, Gaga, and Doechii, voiced their support for the current state of minority groups in America, once again proving that music and fashion transcends boundaries and is stronger when it's diverse. This is Mayank Chaudhary for NDTV.
And with that, it's a wrap on India Global. Thanks for watching.
With retirement round the corner, I want to spend more time with my family and less time worrying about the numbers. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
And that money could help with funeral costs or even as a gift for the grandkids. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
You got them all right. That's amazing.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 977 5808 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
This is an important message for people living with diabetes from people living with diabetes.
When I was experiencing the symptoms of diabetes, I didn't know what was going on.
You go on the internet and it's full of horror stories.
I didn't understand about carbs, I didn't understand about blood glucose levels.
That's why the support I get as a Diabetes UK member is so important.
You can become a Diabetes UK member for just £3 a month. When you do, you'll receive a practical guide specific to your type of diabetes and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year. Plus, you'll help support research that could lead to better treatments for all types of diabetes.
As members, we're all working it out together.
Call 0800 144 5410 or go online to become a Diabetes UK member for just £3 a month. Join us now because membership can help you learn to live better with diabetes.
Our first year as a family flew by. And now, I want to make sure he'll be financially protected for all his birthdays to come. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, how can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for family life insurance.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
That's great.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my wife pay off the mortgage.
And with our Smart Family Guarantee, you'll have peace of mind.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0808 141 5855 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Have you ever considered what might happen if you didn't feel that way about yourself?
You know, your worth doesn't depend on what they think of you.
You've come so far. Maybe it's time to start giving yourself some of the credit.
Switch to EE full fiber and pay nothing up front. You'll get ultra-fast broadband, which stays fast even at peak time. So you can keep working while the kids nail dance practice. Or help them get that homework project off the ground. And we'll even give you up to £300 towards your leaving fee. No wonder broadband switchers choose EE. Search EE Broadband Deals.
Quidco gives you cashback every time you shop on over 5,000 brands. It always pays to Quidco. Sign up and start saving today. Visit quidco.com.
I'm a simple man, but now I'm in my 50s, things are getting a little more complicated. Retirement's peeking around the corner, and I wanted to make sure my family would be really looked after if anything happened to me. That's why I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today.
They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period.
Unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years, with Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one. And you're covered for the whole of your life.
Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Learning more can be simpler. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call.
Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card. To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0808 143 4774 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Who doesn't love a good deal? Meal deals. Be rude not to deals. Seal deals? Or a bit of deal or no deal? We've got free-to-play deals with no deposit required. And up to £1,000 to be won every day. Get that good deal feeling only at Tombola.
At Tesco Mobile, unlock even better phone deals with your club card. Get our 30 gig SIM for just £12.50 a month with club card prices, saving you £30. Better yet, your club card lets you unlock more than just great deals, like frozen prices and no EU roaming fees until the end of your contract. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Health isn't someday in the future. It's now. It's same-day GP appointments. Physio without GP referrals. Cancer testing, scans, and diagnosis fast. Questions for an expert at any hour about anything. Routine dental checkups every year for brighter smiles. Support that lasts for as long as it takes. Feeling your best every day starts today. Call or go online now for your quote.
नमस्कार, आप देख रहे हैं एनडीटीवी नेटवर्क। मोदी सरकार के तीसरे कार्यकाल का पहला बजट, और वो भी ऐसा बजट जिससे अगर उम्मीद करते हैं कि वो बड़े सपनों को साकार करे और प्रामाणिक हो और ट्रांसपेरेंट हो, तो आप कह सकते हैं कि वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारामन ने जितने बजट अभी तक पेश किए हैं उसमें ये सबसे शानदार, सबसे बड़े सपने वाला और सबसे ट्रांसपेरेंट बजट है। इसके डिटेल समझते हैं क्योंकि इसमें सबके लिए कुछ है या कुछ मिसिंग भी है, ये पता करने की कोशिश करते हैं। वित्त मंत्री जी, आपने हमारे लिए वक्त निकाला। किसी भी टेलीविज़न नेटवर्क पे आपका ये पहला इंटरव्यू है जो हमारे 6 चैनल के सारे दर्शक देख रहे हैं। कल जब बजट भाषण सुना उसके बाद मेरा पहला एक्रोनिम निकाला मैंने, वो था RRR, रिस्पॉन्सिव, रिस्पॉन्सिबल, रिफॉर्मिस्ट और मैंने कहा रिवॉल्यूशनरी। अब इसमें एक R और हम अगर जोड़ना चाहें, रोरिंग इकोनॉमी कैसे बनेगी? विकसित भारत के लिए ये जो ग्रोथ रेट देगा वो 8% से प्लस देगा क्या?
8% देगा ये तो ज़रूर हम सब एक्सपेक्टेशन रख सकते हैं। मैं देख रही हूँ कि अगले 20 साल 25 साल के लिए भारत का फंडामेंटल्स आज ठीक है, मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक फंडामेंटल्स। इसको और मजबूत करने के लिए हम कदम उठाना चाहिए। इसमें प्रधानमंत्री जी पहले से ही हमें गाइडेंस देते रहे कि इस साल के बजट के लिए आप पूरे अच्छा सा तैयारी करो कि फंडामेंटल स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए। और उसमें एक और पहलू ऐड भी किए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कि मध्यम वर्ग जो हमें ऑनेस्ट टैक्स पेयर के नाते टैक्स भरते रह रहे, उनके लिए हम कुछ करना है। तो क्या करना है? आप कुछ वर्कआउट करके आओ। ये था उनकी गाइडेंस शुरुआत से ही।
जी, तो क्या मैं ये इंटरप्रेट कर सकता हूँ